on yet again. Lee Sin, Thresh, Jace, again banned by Team WE. First pick, Gwen. Salty run back it is.
Yeah, and WE would be a Jinx Hecarim here if they're going to mirror what they had in the previous game. Like I said, I feel like the drafts were more even compared to game one, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see a lot of similarities coming through, at least at first. Over this side, FPX picked Zeri and Viego. I don't see any reason at all to change up the Zeri. And honestly, with Lee Sin and Xin Zhao banned, with Hecarim taken, I think Viego just makes sense as well for Clid. Would be his third game on it this series.
It would be, and they would just try to get the reps in there for sure. Something else that, you know, shined out last game, we were putting a ton of praise on Xing with the Jinx and how he was able to kind of keep up in the fights. But it's always about the scaling game for Zeri. It's always about Lwx and the ends of it. And the fact that he was able to navigate so many of those fights and dip, dive, duck, and dodging, as well as getting the damage in, this is impressive. So picking up the Zeri for the second time in a row, definitely looking more so over at Xing to get the execution we all know and love on the Jinx that is so powerful here, as Viego does get locked in for FPX.
I love how they spent so long deliberating on the Viego just to lock it in again now. Here's an interesting one is, do they change the Kennen pick, right? You know, Jace is banned, but there's other picks people take often into the Gwen, right? You often see the Akali as an answer. Gnar is something that maybe doesn't have as much pressure as the other two, but we saw this matchup earlier in the series, right? It was xiaolaohu with the Gnar, and he didn't really impress too much, but I've definitely seen players take this matchup, find favor, get a bunch of plates, and still be that menace in team fights. Now, so a bit of a change up, still that Yordle in the top lane though for WE, and now to the bans. Before they banned Zilean, Sylas here, they're going in that same direction. FPX, it was Ryze and Nautilus. The Nautilus, I 100% agree with, without a doubt. And honestly, Ryze, pretty busted at the moment, so that really makes sense too.
See the rest of the focus, at least, as Zilean, again, banned away against Care. Tom Kench this time, though, against Kedaya.
Yeah, interesting.
So, nice little focus there. Again, I do still feel like Kedaya is needing to get the engages for Team WE to feel confident, to feel comfortable in having that kind of entrance there. We saw in game number one how flawless that Rakan seemed to be, but won't get any of those engaged champions this time, at least the ones we've seen already, as Sylas banned away from Team WE. We'll see what the final ban is for FPX and see if they continue that focus of the champions we've seen Team WE pick already.
Yeah, there's a lot of safety now for this Jinx, right? And I think that's potentially something, when we were finding those picks in the mid game, the safety in return for the Tom Kench made it difficult for FPX to answer, but it's difficult here. You ban the Nautilus and free up the Zeri, they're going to ban the Ryze instead, which ultimately is still a decent pick into the Zeri, right? The point and click route, the fact you can just walk up to her and be tanky. But WE, they could look to prioritize the Nautilus here and now. It would pass the Ahri to the side. I feel like if they don't pick the Nautilus here, FPX will 100% take it, right? So it's kind of now or never on that one. Really powerful pick, just sort of dealing with the Zeri, her mobility. Not much chance to outplay it. And they will actually go for the Ahri. So FPX, you know, I think the Vex worked into the Ahri. I think, I imagine they would go in a similar direction. And then I think you pick the Nautilus for Hung. Highest priority support in the LPL over the split so far. Looks like they might be toying with a bit of a different direction in the mid lane, though.
This would be a bit of a spicy one. Could answer some of that aggression, but still feels like Xie getting what he wanted with the Ahri. Obviously high priority in that one since the performances have been coming through for him. And it is the Akali actually locked in for FPX. So a little bit of a double-edged sword there, but definitely going with the aggression in the solo lanes to help out Clid and make sure that those synergies are on function. It is the Nautilus being hovered here. Obvious lock-in would be for FPX, just to make sure they have the engage and the power that Nautilus brings to the table. But they opt over to the Leona, as it was Hung, landing beautiful Zenith Blades and having the Solar Flare on lock.
Yeah, it's got to be Nautilus on the other side, right? And I understand why they're doing this, right? Because when you look at FPX composition, they have a lot of champions which want to go in, but not the best tools to lock the enemy team down. So I think in that regard, they're kind of in a situation where, you know, the Nautilus doesn't offer enough team-wide engage, right? Nor is good at dealing with single targets, but in terms of engaging and just staying in the fight and locking them down, he's a bit too squishy. So they go for the Leona. And WE, the answer, not with the Nautilus though, but they go for the Alistar. A lot of defensive peel tools towards that Jinx. So critically, you know, I say the Nautilus ult is a great tool for the Zeri because it is essentially point and click. If Zeri is in range of Alistar, not much you can do really to outplay the combo other than flash. I do think it's a weaker answer, right, than we had in than a Nautilus would have been. And I also think that you can outplay the Leona matchup because historically it's been a bad one for the Nautilus, but if you use your Dreadstein to interrupt a Zenith Blade, you can outplay it. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see these decisions come out. I think the fact that FPX got the Zeri and the Nautilus isn't picked is kind of a godsend, in all honesty. But I do feel like one thing is getting on this Jinx isn't going to be the easiest, right? You have a lot of short-range champions and an Alistar who's going to be playing bodyguard. So I think WE, if they can kind of play that front to back, will be quite comfortable. But the second Akali and Gwen get into an even vaguely uncomfortable position onto your Jinx, I think FPX will just steamroll the fight. So a lot of tools for both sides. One thing I will note is that the Ahri is going to have that early pressure against the Akali in the laning phase. Should be able to contest waves quite well. So if WE finds some momentum, they can run away with this game.
And I'm excited because it's Kedaya's first Alistar here. Feels like it fits the mold for his champion pool as well. We will find out who comes out on top. Can WE play spoiler in the attempt of FPX to solidify their playoff spot? Or will FPX continue to move up the ladder one rung at a time? Here we are, the final game of the first series of week number 8. FPX versus Team WE.
Oh, look, it's this play again.
It's at the opposite side this time.
It just feels like it's such a common thing, right? If it works, like, you get so much value out of it, right? If you manage to pick the enemy top laner, but it just doesn't often work, right? It will get spotted out. They will clear out this ward. It feels like teams are very prepared for this and will make sure to get that early ward down to avoid the cheese. But, you know, we'll just see things pan out. Now, I think for me, early mid jungle for WE, I think particularly the Ahri is the one I'm favoring, right? You're into an Akali, you're going to have that priority. You have Ignite as well to give you strength in the 2v2 and be able to lean that pressure outwards, right? You're going to have pressure bot because you have the Jinx into the Zeri. You can push early, right? Even though Alistar's not the best level 1, Jinx should be enough to mitigate. And also Leona can't really go on melee range off you because of Alistar. So I think this is very much for WE like a win lane, win game scenario, right?
Yeah.
All 3 lanes should be able to achieve prio. Top lane, you might be contested on the wave early, but should be able to get it by level 3. And then it's Beisheng, it's on him to really sort of have momentum and take over the game. That's what I am looking for. Whereas I think if things go later or if FPX find windows, I am really concerned for Sheng playing into a Akali Gwen.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the turnaround from them last time around as well, and the late game working out for them, the late game team fights especially working out for them. So wanted to keep our eyes on that one. Clid going for a level 2 in the mid lane here. Something very unique, and Xie not exactly expecting it. Flash comes out, and Xie has to flash himself.
And this is a really great play, honestly, because I was talking about the control that Xie would have in the mid lane. You disrupt that by going for this early pretty cheesy gank, in all honesty. We've kind of seen that Clid going for these aggressive plays where he's actually able to find presence by going for these quick clears. He will end up losing out on his Raptors, but the pressure applied mid by removing that flash definitely makes a difference. Now bot lane, we actually saw Hung playing very aggressive on the Alistar, and as a result they've managed to contest prio and find the level 2 advantage. So things going well there. xiaolaohu has prio early, but will start to lose it when level 3 is hit by the Gnar. Overall, I think WE side lanes... Oh, sorry, FPX side lane's doing good, and the fact they got that gank off mid is just stellar so far.
And Beisheng's pathing has led him toward this bot side on the flank of LWX, and Hung, having taken the Krugs now, getting to that mark, will potentially lead up for something Team WE's way in the bottom side, but the level 2 there, the gank maybe not just right. Hung is not focused by Beisheng, and Beisheng just says hello and walks away.
Yeah, critically, FPX crashed the wave, right? So we see Clid goes to the top side, but the wave is crashed, able to bounce over. And so as a result, we have a scenario where FPX's bot lane is completely safe, right? Good wave management to allow that. We saw the little picture-in-picture. It was just Beisheng stealing away the Raptors, which we already saw. So I just wanted to show us twice his clearing mechanics.
It's twice as nice. We did get the vertical invade here for Clid, though, realizing there could be some finickiness on the bottom side of the map. This still, I believe, ends out in favor of Beisheng, though, unless Clid is able to get something top.
Well, that's the thing, is he takes these Krugs right now, but then none of his camps are up yet, whereas Beisheng is now doing his Grump. He can head over to his Wolves. He can head over towards his Raptors as well if he really wants. The thing is that we did see Clid get double Scuttle So and well, he got the top side skull. So that did make a difference, right? Hasn't really been cleared by WE yet, so has an advantage in that regard.
It does indeed. We saw a lot of pings actually from Team WE towards the mid lane, and it brought Beishang out of his wolf pit for a second, but nothing going to come of it just yet. Now we see Clid buying his time in topside, baiting BiuBiu is xiaolaohu, but it won't fall for it this time. Look who's on a roam right now. Kedaya is up towards this top side while we get this 1v1, and it won't come to anything just yet. Just a lot of skirmishing across the board. Speaking of, Care gets the electrocute. The charm actually connects this time for Xie and gets the flash out of the Akali.
Yeah, Care struggling a bit. Charm connects, has to flash the threat of the ignite there and available to the Ahri, so has to pay respect. And now Summoner's even between them. I will say that our Akali can kind of escape ganks without flash, whereas Ahri needs her ultimate really. But still good to see the pressure from Xie in this laning phase. And overall, we've seen things panning out pretty okay for WE. We haven't really seen anything come to fruition yet, right? But mid lane going good, bot lane going fine. Both started to cull again, so both looking to get that extra gold injection and scale towards it.
When my big question here now, Ox, when are we getting Zeri's TV show? When are we getting the Zeri buffs coming through here? All right, because
well,
she hasn't been in the she hasn't been in the league long enough. Like I feel like we need this champion to come front and center. All right, no more bans. That should be taken away. It should be banned to ban Zeri.
I mean, she's a Zone Knight, so maybe season 2 of Arcane, you know, Zeri could show. I actually think it's possible.
So who wins if both of them have main character plot armor? I just don't know. Speaking of, I think xiaolaohu might be lacking his armor here as BiuBiu try to take it back. Conquer did proc. Level 6 not available for xiaolaohu just yet, but he still takes the trade pretty heavily. Beishang now with the level advantage onto Clid going for the skirmishing himself. It's just a trade of chicky nuggies.
Yeah, the farm advantage for where Beishang means he's able to apply that pressure, right? Top lane, we did see BiuBiu winning out the trade, forces the ghost from xiaolaohu. Won't really get too much else now. They're threatening on the spot side, and critically, Xie's moving with ultimate.
Yeah, he is. The first Krug was taken by Clid, but the rest of FPX are here just in case. 4 members strong from Team WE means they are a bit scared, a bit reserved. Maybe an under tower as the charm doesn't connect. That does mean Team WE back away from the fight.
I feel like it's interesting they just completely rely on this charm to sort of set up, but I think it was such a precarious dive, right? You know, Clid is there, Care has TP as well. It would potentially end up being a 4v4 in a tower, and especially when you're up against the likes of a Viego, if one person goes down, you can easily see a cleanup come in. So WE back away, they attempt to play, they have the pressure, and that's kind of why you pick the Ahri in the situation, is that ability to get prior and roam down, but hasn't really come to fruition. And overall, if I'm FPX, I'm kind of happy with the state of the game so far. I will say the jungle matchup is a little bit rough right now. Clid is falling behind, and Beishang should be hitting his level 6 pretty soon. And you get a lot more impact when the Hecarim has that available. Like, one of the things with the ganks is if you can get behind a target, great. If you can't, kind of hard to do anything. But once you have your ult, you just ult behind them, easy knockback. Yeah. Very difficult to avoid as an immobile champion. Now, what I will say is that there aren't too many immobile champions on this side of FPX. But
makes it a little bit more
difficult.
Yeah. Hey, see, look at the synergy. It's on point. Both said at the same time. Something else here, though, as well, is like the next objective focuses. We've had a dragon on the table for almost 3 minutes now. Absolutely no focus down there whatsoever. But we do have a Rift Herald coming up in about 15 seconds, which last time around we got a little bit of a 3v3, I believe, in front of it. No classic LPL 5v5. I see pings already coming down from FPX to put a little bit of priority around that, especially with that priority they gained in topside.
Yeah, and the quick reset. So xiaolaohu is there. They already have hung over and available. Lwx is walking towards mid, and basically his direction is going to depend on what they see, right? They see Kedaya heading bot side. They're like, okay, cool. I don't need to be on the top side of the map. My team have this. In fact, you even see Hung already peeling off away. The Herald in FPX's mind is secured. So they can start to move down the map. I try and mitigate losses on this side. I do think I'm not really a big fan of this play coming out from Hung, right? You might force the Ahri ultimate at best, but ultimately your support is getting zoned off a tower, right, and losing plates. So I guess one aspect of this is it's kind of hard to walk through your own jungle right now, and he needs the backup. So gives the prior to Care. Now they both move down and are going to try and be able to defend bot lane tier 1. A plate has been taken, but 1 plate for the Herald. FPX pretty happy.
Yeah, I'd say so. And they actually get redeployed back onto the bottom side to dissuade anything from Team WE, especially objective focus-wise. And this is not the focus this time around. We have seen a pretty heavy focus for Dragons in the last couple games here between these two teams, but this one is all about steadily scaling up. But as you had said, that's a bit of a worry for Team WE going against the composition that FPX have drafted.
Yeah, like you can obviously look at WE's composition, and they have some great scaling elements, right?
They do.
I think the Jinx, monstrous in late game, right? The Hecarim, really strong engaged threat. The Alistar as well. The problem is the Ahri kind of falls off. And when it comes to team fights, I feel like Jinx is like such a massive proportion of the late game team fighting. And there's so many tools to answer it, right? If Care, Clid, or xiaolaohu get on top of Xing, and Xing dies, I feel like WE just kind of almost always lose from there if it's late enough in the game, right? And that's what kind of concerns me, is that they don't have that much protection for Xing. And even if they do, right, I think it's going to be hard to keep him able to free hit. So I do want to see WE find some more momentum. I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't get that first dragon or that first herald. FPX doing a good job of setting up for those objectives, and it just felt like WE a little bit slow on the punch. And the fact that they only got that one plate bot side, you can look at the goal difference between AD carries. It's 100 gold lead for Xing. It's nothing right now.
Yeah, I mean, the gold leads all together really, really tight. And now we see maybe that changing a bit as Kedaya not having the unbreakable will die as the first blood to Clid.
And I thought Clid was going to go on Alistar to get the combo as well and be able to kill Xing, but just not want to risk it. A bit too far in a tower and has the flash now. Hung, not sure about why you're there.
Beisheng changed his direction like 3 times during that one. Not exactly confident which way he wanted to go. As Hung not having any mana, there were still 2 members in the lane threatening his AD carry in Xing.
Yeah, I think the fact Hung had flash and also is quite tanky, didn't want to just like commit everything to chase him down only to get caught out. So, you know, they don't get too much more on the back of that. They get a plate, they get a kill, but still positive play for FPX, right? Keeping the gold in their favor, and critically, they still have this Herald in pocket. Personally, I would be fine with them using it mid, right? Mid already at that 4 plate point. You throw it down, you'll get it down to 2. Second Herald will knock it down completely. And it opens the map quite substantially. But for now, he is looking towards the top lane.
BiuBiu has been dunced. He is out of there. Oh, I thought maybe Clid was going to give him the solo bolo, but he's like, I came all the way this way. I needed an assist.
He wants the assist gold, right? It's fair enough. You know, you got to take that money, lower his solo kill stats. But obviously, xiaolaohu's doing fine in that regard anyway. Does mean that you're able to give some pressure over to your top laner, but still yet to commit the Herald. I think he wants to help push this wave in. I'm not sure if he's going to use the Herald here and now. I wouldn't be the biggest fan, simply because you're not going to get the tower, right? Off the back of that, because xiaolaohu is so low. I think he should just go mid right now and throw it down, right? He doesn't have much time left. Get the 2 plates mid. You should be happy with that.
Yeah, it looks like the timing will enable that here, as well as him and Care moving towards this mid lane. We still have both bottom lanes in the bottom lane there, just not changing the lane assignments just yet. Clid, you know, I understand.
You remember when you could interrupt it?
Yeah.
Like when there was a 4-second channel and you could get it down so many times, people just doing it so poorly. But yeah, throw the Herald down mid, you get the 2 plate play. I commonly see, like, if you're not going to get a full tower, you might as well throw it down mid and get a low set up going forwards. But you can see it's kind of at the point where BiuBiu really hasn't found too much momentum in this matchup. And he now, even though he's Mega Gnar,
he missed
if you don't land the ult, yeah, you just lose this 1v1.
And he used it away from the wall as well. Just a bit of mistiming for BiuBiu and capitalized by xiaolaohu and, you know, Clid as well there at the end of it. And now we're back to the mid lane as we have no objectives on the map for another minute and 40 seconds. Means we get the classic ARAM style and maybe a little bit of side lane pressure from Team WE.
And we do see Dragon in the minute 30, so for me, that's what you want to be setting up for both teams, right? Would only be the second for FPX, and they could definitely afford to forego it, but I feel like the angle of approach is going to be so vitally important, right? Oh, Care.
See if Xie connects it. He's going way too deep, though, and again for the second game in a row. Second time, Xie, with the help of Beisheng, gets the outplay onto Care.
He's getting too hypey, right? He sees the window, goes in with the ultimate, but the problem is last time was LeBlanc, this time is Ahri. They have enough dashes to get on the tower.
Okay, I see you. He doesn't even hit it, but he used it anyways.
Hey, we've seen a lot of Jinx ultimates used to stop recalls. How is this any different?
This is I thought we were getting a replay of what we just saw on the top, and no, it's live. This is happening again. BiuBiu almost just taking a 1v1 solo death again against xiaolaohu.
Yeah, this is just a little bit chaotic, a little bit sporadic, but we do see. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
no!
Oh my god, it's not.
It's doomed!
I'll say, right, as a support main, that has happened to me far too often. And it definitely hurts, right? But the great thing, this is why you carry 2 control wards, because then when you do that, you can throw it. You can throw another control ward down and move it.
And it's like nothing ever happened because the previous one goes away.
Exactly. Hey, look, WE cleared it out anyway, so it would have been wouldn't have been long for this world.
He had to pop the trample there as he was about to be in a lot of trouble. Not a big health bar on the Alistar just yet. We saw Lwx taking the side lane tower, though. Will be first tower of the game for FPX as well.
I think that's the thing with Alistar's, right? If you don't have aftershock proc, if you don't have your ult up, you are so squishy. You can go down so quickly if you're not able to get some of those off. But FPX will be able to get the dragon, have control of the area, and did that sort of role earlier, getting that deep vision. The trade-off is WE looking towards that Herald, you know, and they have answered a dragon in the top lane. But ultimately, I feel like this is a situation where you really want to get mid-tier 1, right? Open up the map. We saw previously this Ahri Hecarim combo, how good WE were at finding picks. You kind of want more of the same in that regard, right? You kind of want them to be setting up for these plays, trying to find people who are out of position or immobile. But the problem is, no one's really that easy to pick on the side of FPX, right? A lot of mobility across the board. It's kind of Hung is the best target, and he's tanky as heck.
See as the back gets completed. Oh, Kedaya just a little bit too slow there. Lwx almost took an entire side lane tier 2 there, by the way, that entire time. The response a bit late from Team WE. Now we're looking at the top side. We have Hung on a roam, trying to make BiuBiu's day a little bit worse here as he gets Gnar. I don't know if this is actually something they want to take, but WE taking this moment to go towards the bot side jungle as well. BiuBiu actually surviving that gank, will not actually take any damage, really.
Yeah, kind of risky to go for it against the Gnar, but I feel like this is just one of those things where, like, you're building Hullbreaker, you're on the Gnar, and you're still losing the 1v1 now. WE are going to look for this tier 2 on this side of the map. I don't think they should be able to get the tier 2. Sorry, they got the tier 1. We'll see. They should get an extra charge in, but I don't think they'll get the tower. And it's like, you know, getting that tier 1 is nice, but it's not exactly a game changer. It's not really significant. So Herald taken, and it just ends up being a trade on the top side. So really not panning out too well for WE. Bear in mind, they got the Herald as a trade for the dragon. So it just feels like FPX are edging ahead. The goal difference isn't hugely substantial. But we said earlier, right, it kind of felt like WE had the lane pressure and wanted to snowball that. FPX, I favor them in the team fights. I'm being 1,000 gold up, 2 dragons up as well. And it is that Hextech Soul, which makes it even more difficult for an immobile Jinx to navigate. I think things are a little bit tenuous for WE.
It is, for sure. I feel like we've been watching an iteration of like a trading card game in this series so far. It's like, I see you get a dragon, I'll take a Rift Herald. Okay, you get top tower, I'll get 2 towers in bot lane. It's just a back and forth. Who's coming out on top? It's just trading everywhere. In every single game of this series, it feels like.
Yeah, what I'll say is there's a little bit unfair trading in the previous game when FPX got like 2 dragons and a Herald in a row with no contest. So,
it's the person that goes to one of the like newbie trading card tournaments and it's just like has a full deck set up with everything you could ever ask for. He's like, I'm brand new to this game. And he's just smashing his opponents over and over again.
I feel like it's a trading you do with like your little sibling, right? You know, when
they have no idea.
You have Pokemon cards as a kid, you're like, look, I'll give you this really cool Pikachu. He's like the main character. If you give me your Charizard you just got.
Hey, I got a 99 Mewtwo one time for a level 65 Golem. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if that makes me a bad person.
So you were the older sibling.
I guess I was. Oh no. But speaking of level 99 Mewtwo's, neither team really making themselves into that here just yet. It's been very tightly contested. The lead hasn't gone more than about 1,000 either way, but FPX have seemingly gotten a little bit of that driving potential here for themselves. They've gotten the 2 dragons. They've gotten one of the Rift Heralds. They have a lot of pressure around this mid lane. And now that we have Lwx and Xing come into that mid lane, we'll see a lot more fireworks coming out.
It looks like they're setting up for a potential dive here, maybe. Yeah, I get the sense of it. They could go for here on Xing.
Solar Flare doesn't connect. Beishang is there with the Onslaught of Shadows. 2 WE want to go back in. Looks like it's just the wave clear for them. And FPX back away as well this time.
Yeah, so Dragon in a minute. This is going to be the big objective both teams need to fight for, right? FPX securing that 3rd would be massive. WE need to stop the soul stacking. Now, something I'm really scared about is the fact it's a X-Tech map, as we saw xiaolaohu just flying through the gates there. I talked about before when we're setting up the team fights for WE, so much of it is around this Jinx, right? Finding the momentum, finding the resets. This is less apparent now in the game. Ahri still very relevant. The Hecarim still very strong, right? But if Care or xiaolaohu can get on this Jinx, it's going to be disaster for WE. And with the Hex Gates there, it becomes even harder to defend him. Now, WE, I think this is smart for them. They get there first. They get vision control. Very important. But FPX are going to start to approach. We'll see if
really
she can find a charm.
Look at all the stopwatches in FPX's inventory. They have 3 of them to pull the trigger on. They also have a 2-item spike for LWX. Yes, it's not the 3, but it is better than what Xing is able to put out here. It's really a question of how does that arcane buff help out Team WE. And in terms of, plot armor, it seems like they're going to get their first dragon. Oh my god, okay, I spoke way too soon because now you're getting xiaolaohu in the back. Maybe they still get the dragon. Clid is in trouble now. Mega Death Rocket over there, but xiaolaohu into the pit. It's still secured by Beisheng, and now Team WE are running. They do not want into this fight at all. BiuBiu in the back. He gets one traded, but it's only hung, and he's taken out. The beast is slain at FPX. They lose the dragon, but they take the fight.
Yeah, they crushed the fight, and Xing, I just don't understand how you're supposed to play these team fights in any manner. xiaolaohu TP's in for the flank. It's a little bit late. They lose out their dragon, but who cares? It's one dragon for WE, and the crushing fight win you get will lead to Baron, right? Clid still up and available with the smite. Now, we do see Beisheng coming over, but remember, it's a Hecarim. No flash, doesn't have the ult available. Blast Cone is down. You're really going to struggle to approach this one.
Yeah, I don't even know how he's supposed to get in here. He's going to try to just watch at this point as the Baron does go down. Hex Tech.
What
are you doing, Beisheng? Okay. I think he thought, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he thought he was going to the Baron pit, but he did not go to the right neighborhood. They told him to turn left, and he turned right, and he went right down the cliffside.
Man, what was I am speechless. What was he thinking? Like, the Baron was already gone.
No.
Let's get the replay.
Okay, no, thank God.
First and foremost, right? So it's a slow approach coming out. Clid even gets chunked out, but look at Xing, right? Akali one side, Gwen the other, Leona on top of you. It's unplayable. It's actually unplayable. And as soon as this Jinx goes down, the momentum is in favor of FPX. They get a reset coming out, right? They chase down as many targets as they can. LWX ramped up, untouched in that team fight and able to deliver. Yeah, I don't know what Beisheng was doing. That really felt like a desperation hexgate, trying to hexgate out of this game. It seems.
He was just like, okay, I don't have flash, I don't have onslaught chat. How do I get over the wall? Oh, the hexgate. Let's do it. But hey,
technically,
somehow,
yes.
Technically, yes. It just doesn't go into the pit. It goes to their side of the map. I will say Phantom Dancer completed second for Xing does prioritize that defensive nature there for the Jinx, which is not something we see often whatsoever, Aux.
Yeah, and I feel like it's at the point where we're approaching critical mass, right? I feel like it's getting very difficult right now for WE, but we kind of need those picks, right? Remember game 2, where we saw WE just find the momentum with the Hecarim, with the Ahri, and they were able to get these solid picks onto the enemy team. If you can find one of those, that's the window. But for now, it really feels like the struggle is trying to keep Xing alive. If they're under a tower, he can just kite backwards. It is a bit easier. FPX aren't looking to dive as of yet.
Hung taking the brunt of the damage here, but it's the siege that matters. LWX trying to get the distance onto the tower, but the wave clear actually there from Xing. He still does have a decent amount of damage on the Jinx, so tier 2 tower will not fall just yet.
And managing to hold on, and that's one thing to be said for FPX's composition. They are not good at sieging towers, right, grouped up, because there's the threat from the other side if they engage. Everyone is short range, right? If Zeri's in range at the tower, she's definitely in range of an Alistar combo. And so as a result, we just see them start to lean this pressure in, right? Akali go on top with the Baron, but it feels like they're kind of slipping away right now, okay? Akali will push that wave in. Only 30 seconds left on the Baron, so we get the reset. So overall, despite the fact FPX crushed the fight, they're 5,000 gold up, great. They don't really get anything off the back of that Baron that's that significant, right? They don't manage to crack the tier 2s mid or top. Remember, that tier 2 bot was taken ages, well, it was lowered ages ago. So ultimately, FPX amount of gold lead, but still a long way away from closing this game out. Problem is, back to those team fights, Xing surviving on this Jinx is not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, it's not. It's giving me some recollections to previous games in this series, especially the first
Actually,
one.
they get back in time to get that tier 2, so they get something more than, you know, I initially thought, but still not hugely substantial.
No, not just yet. It's just a little bit of pressure in the mid lane, a little bit more gold in their pocket. About 6,000 in the lead. RFPX here at 24 minutes in. Team WE looking to set up the picks. Let's watch. Does it come to fruition? Oh, the charm goes wide, and that will mean Xie does not start the engage for Team WE.
Yeah, and they wasted a lot of time there investing into looking for that pick, and that allows xiaolaohu to crash his wave in. Lwx is there. Despite the Baron pretty much timing out for mid lane tier 2, they still get it. They still get this tier 1. So having tier 1 top lane, sorry. So it went from a scenario, I was like, they don't get a ton from the Baron to actually they get a sizable amount. All the towers outside the base taken. It's almost a 7,000 gold lead right now. And once again, I'm going to bring it back. I favor FPX composition in these team fights outright. Really difficult to see WE holding up. I think they have to give up this dragon. That's going to be the third for FPX. And, you know, WE are already out of playoffs with their 1 game loss in this series. It takes them out of contention, but they are still fighting to avoid the dreaded 17th place, right?
Exactly.
And FPX, they need this win, right? If they want to be in with a good chance of making playoffs themselves.
There's only 4 games left. You got to get every dub possible. I will still say, though, LWX hasn't used the stopwatch that's still in his inventory, is now on 3 items on the Zeri. You've got Zanya's completed for 2 solo members of FPX. The fights get worse and worse for Team WE as the 3rd dragon of the game goes to FPX with no contention from Team WE. That puts them on soul point, and that puts Team WE on a timer for 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, Baron up sooner than that. I feel like FPX could definitely set up players around there, but we'll see if they opt to go for it. As you said, though, you know, they can play this one patient, confident in their scaling, and also having Hextech Soul they can lean on later on. There's no innate rush to force this, but they are trying to get some aggressive deep vision in. This is something I've been critical of FPX before, is not getting their deep vision to set up for the Baron. Now, what I will say is they didn't really have that mid wave cleared out. They should now get LWX to join with them, and then they can really deeply push in.
We're still seeing the pressure forward from FPX, at least with xiaolaohu on the side lane here and with Care on the top side of the map. They're hovering this 3 comp in the mid lane at least and making sure that Clid and Hung are staying together. Look at these flank wards, though. Possibilities abound for Team WE, but it's all about pulling the trigger on those, which we have seen has been reluctant from the squad so far.
Yeah, but I do like this, the fact they have this 3-man moving together to secure vision. They even rotate up xiaolaohu to apply these pressure mid and top on the wave. You can get the vision, but you don't actually see that many wards placed down by Hung, right? Has a control ward next to where the raptors spawn, but that will just get cleared out by WE when they want to, and has 1 other ward, so not really actually getting too much vision down. It's kind of an interesting one, right? He has 3 wards in pocket and opting to hold them. I guess maybe the thought process is trying to wait for the sweepers to get used. You can see Kedaya used his earlier. Beisheng's is now down. Does give a window to slap some wards in place.
Black Cleaver selected second for Clid here. Beisheng on the side with the engage. He pops the devastating charge. Will not find the charge to engage. FPX staying stalwart in this moment. There were 5 members of Team WE right there, and there was only 4 of FPX, but they stood strong.
Yeah, the threat, the Mega Gnar, pretty big.
Oh.
And now WE looking.
W realized, okay, well, we should have gone the first time. Let's go ahead and make that happen. They get 1 off the back of it. Xing now excited, Hung in some trouble. Look at LWX. LWX is slowly popping shots into Kedaya. Kedaya goes down. Now the resets are coming through. Team WE are running away, but you've still got to watch out for LWX and Care and all of FPX as they're running you down. You ain't got no escape. FPX have taken it. They are pushing in the mid lane. The fight goes their way, and Team WE are dashed in their upset hopes. Clid chasing down BiuBiu, trying to get 1 last kill under his belt. Heartbreaker available, but BiuBiu has Mega Gnar. Heartbreaker from Clid still there, but he doesn't want to pull the trigger on it yet. BiuBiu hits the Mega Gnar, and now he has a little bit of health back, but it's still the base being torn down 1 by 1 by FPX.
I think this should be enough, though, for WE to defend, right? BiuBiu bought some time to get the mid inhib, and now they're actually steaming straight towards Baron. xiaolaohu TPing in. They want to go for this quickly, but this could be a potential throw, right? WE are back on the map. Hex gates will get them there quicker. This is the potential for them to get back into the game.
This is a flip Reno. Beishang, this is the moment. You can
FPX
pull
special.
it all back. BiuBiu has the Gnar ulti, but needs to build up the bar first. Halfway down is the Baron. It's going to go so low, and FPX are just going to finish it. No, Beishang going to pay. He can't get the smite. Beishang all alone. He is taken out. BiuBiu now has Gnar. Can he get the Gnar ulti? 2 into the wall. Xing is on the back, but here comes the lightning crash, and here comes FPX. They are swiping the fight away from Team WE. Yes, they get LWX potentially here, and Xing going excited does make the difference, but you still got Clid on the Alistar. He's trying to help out xiaolaohu, the double engage. xiaolaohu is there with the damage, and FPX are picking them apart.
They're now looking towards mid, right? Only Xing left to survive, but Beishang is up in 10. I don't think FPX can end here. And you know what? I'm just going to flat out say it. That was a throw from FPX. They still won out the fight. They still got the Baron, but they got 10,000 gold ahead. And think how close that fight was. That was probably the biggest opportunity for FPX to lose the game. They do manage to hold on, though. They managed to get the Baron. They managed to get a kill advantage. And they're going to be able to, I guess, secure this dragon in 30 seconds. I don't really see WE being able to contest this one. But man, it wouldn't be FPX without a Baron flip, right? The initial play from WE, I like. This is the correct play, right? You go for a pick. They managed to delete xiaolaohu. The problem is, you know, they just can't find the follow-through in the fight. As soon as we see this Akali come in and get on the Jinx, it's so hard to function for Xing. Just basically gets the lead here of the back of the Akali and then LWX. And they don't have anything to deal with the Zeri, who's just charging forward. So I like the play from WE. It's not enough, right? And now it should just be Soul picked up for FPX. But yeah, that following Baron play, one, it was a flip on the Baron, right? Beishang even got in the pit. And secondly, for a team who are 10,000 gold behind, it should not have been that close for WE.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't have been. Now, it gets even worse, man. I just keep checking into these item completions for FPX, and the amount of time they can buy. They have 2 GAs, they have 2 Zanyas, they can buy stopwatches. Like, these fights are getting dragged out, and we saw last time when they do, xiaolaohu returning to the fight after dying early on, and it's just craziness that unfolds afterwards, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Team WE to navigate it. Although I will say Xing has completed the Lord Doms, the tankiness not going to be as much of an issue. Still positioning, that is the issue.
And it's still, I mean, at least when you're on the base, it's a bit harder to get approached on, but it's so scary with the Soul as well in hand. If you get caught by that slow coming off the Hextech Soul, it can be so difficult to maneuver.
Beishang using the devastating charge around just to threaten an engage there, but it's still FPX focusing this bottom side. They want to unlock the second inhib. Lightning crash from LWX. He gets charmed, but they're still moving forward. They're still trying to take him down. Onslaught of Shadows on the back. Again, FPX might find themselves in a difficult situation, but now the resets are there, and now LWX is popping off in the AoE team fight. They haven't even gotten a single person, and now they finally will take down the base. FPX resurge in dominant fashion. They had us in the first half. They lost the first game whole-handedly to Team WE, but Team WE will not play spoilers tonight. They will not play the upset. They want it. They don't get it. Turn on the Nexus. FPX will take the victory. They are one step on the long road to securing their playoff berth.
They won't get the pentakill, but they get the game a bit messy towards that Baron, absolutely. But the gold lead at the end was enough, and they convincingly close it out, right? 2-1 over WE. I think FPX fans would have loved a 2-0 here, right? To see more convincing play from the roster. But at the end of the day, a dub is a dub, and it keeps them on that path towards